Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of GnWC Weekly. I'm the Duke, and I'm joined by my good buddy,
Nick Papa Giorgio from Yuma.
Yuma.
So let me tell you what happened there on take
Okay.
2 here.
Okay, so this is take 2, everyone.
This is take
we
2.
did this before.
Yeah, no, everyone's we're live, pal. People know this already.
Oh, they heard it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you know how Twitch has that thing where maybe you don't know, but they redid their API in their dashboard, and I complained about this maybe last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Whenever you refresh your dashboard, it automatically assumes you want to listen to your own stream live. Which then when you talk, you hear yourself after a delay and stuff like that. So I did that. I made sure it was off. I refreshed. I made sure it was off. And then in the background, somebody went offline, so I didn't mute their stream. And then they wound up auto-hosting me. And then my stream was playing in the background. So as I was hearing the delay, I'm going crazy on the dashboard trying to figure out what it was. I unmuted it, and then we heard ourselves 4 times.
Fantastic.
It was just crazy. But yeah.
So we were in a feedback loop.
Yeah, I think that's what they call it in the
fantastic.
profession, right?
Maybe. Or maybe. Maybe. Hey, everyone, I'm Duke.
Hold on, I gotta mute that. I hear that again, so go ahead.
Stop it.
Oh,
no,
sorry.
You're not. For real?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Hey, we're going to talk about
Fastlane?
this week in wrestling pretty quick, but then get to the Fastlane talk because there's Fastlane talk.
I do
Because
want to.
Fastlane is tomorrow, so we got to get this up.
I do want to mention something here, though, quickly. We've foregone with the news and notes because it takes up too much time. We'll put it where
Too much time.
But it's worth noting that TNA has cleaned house a little bit, and we haven't really touched on this, but mostly it happened this week between shows. And gone are Broken Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. Gone are Maria Kanellis and Matt Bennett. Gone is Drew Galloway. Gone is Jade. And the new brass has moved in with Anthem Wrestling and Jeff Jarrett and Scott D'Amore and Zeb Coulter.
And the Owl logo.
Jeb Coulter, sorry. Our logo's gone. They have a new logo. It's
they fixed
it's a
it.
hexagon.
Okay,
It's the 6 sides ring, kind of like a nut. Like
a fan totally made that, by the way.
Like
I saw that. I saw. I can't wait. I need to look it up because I'm pretty sure that's the fan made one I saw after someone said, "Why don't you just do this? It makes a lot more sense."
I think they're even dropping TNA, so to speak, and they're really just rolling with Impact Wrestling.
They should.
But they're stamping Anthem on everything. So it's Impact Wrestling, Anthem Productions.
Oh, I see it. Yeah. And that's
very
similar to what the fan made after they did the.
I mean,
Owl
listen,
logo.
it's not the greatest. It looks like a nut from a nut and bolt. You know, you just unscrew the nut and lay it on
it's
the
a
table.
hexagon.
It's a hexagon.
It's a 6-sided ring.
That's all it is.
I mean, come on.
All right, but here's the thing, and I'm eating crow a little bit on this one because I argued with somebody in my own chat channel the other day, who were like, Matt Hardy will be in WWE by WrestleMania. I'm like, dude, shut up, because here's the thing: TNA announced, Matt Hardy announced, they announced re-signings. Matt Hardy did, Jeff Hardy did, and somebody else did, Matt Bennett and Maria Kanellis. They all did that whole, like, hey, guess what? The Wolves have re-signed kind of thing, where they went public and said, these people re-signed with TNA. Those people have said, this is where I want to be. That's why we re-signed. That never happened. They never re-signed. According to Drew Galloway, and I guess Jeff Hardy had the same issue, they went to them, like, very late with the contracts. Like, they agreed to something, they went to them very late after not hearing for a while about them, and then TNA added stuff into the contracts or removed stuff, and everyone was like, yeah, no, see you later. So,
or Anthem added things. I mean,
Anthem added things,
probably,
whatever the case may be. Whoever had, we don't know.
Basically, someone's trying to. That sounds like whatever the things are. I would suspect it's locking them down and getting them off of other people's TV.
No, it's more like creative control when Matt Hardy's concerned. It's more about merchandise outside of TNA, like where Matt Hardy would sell T-shirts at, like, you know, MCW.
Pro wrestling tees and stuff.
Yeah, TNA would want 50% of it or something like that.
Yeah, no way.
It's something ridiculous like that.
they've made the money for TNA for the past year. There's no reason for them to give up any of it.
I'm not going to say that TNA survived because of Broken Matt Hardy, but Broken Matt Hardy has probably been the best thing on TNA in years.
It's been the biggest draw
since maybe the days of pure TNA wrestling when they had all the Ring of Honor guys like AJ, Daniels, Samoa Joe, and stuff like that. That crew is coming back in. Scott D'Amore, Jeb Coulter, Jeff Jarrett. They're there, and as much as you kind of want to just roll your eyes in the back of your head when you hear Jeff Jarrett's coming back, TNA was the best when Jeff Jarrett was there and in control of booking and backstage and talent and stuff like that. That's when we had AJ Styles and Daniels and Joe and Kazarian, Sanjay Dutt. Like, these guys we never maybe would have seen them if it wasn't for the platform they had in TNA and, starting the ball rolling on the independent field kind of stuff. So that's good stuff. Where are these guys going to go, Duke? Well, I mean, obviously Matt and Jeff Hardy, I would say they're going to go to WWE, but maybe there's a New Japan Pro Wrestling thing in their future.
Yeah, maybe, because they're doing all this stuff with the Bucks, and they seem very serious about running programs with the Bucks.
Not even just the Bucks, but they want to do matches with all the champions all over the world.
Sure,
and that can't include WWE because WWE just wants the WWE universe inclusive.
Right. Exactly.
They want to do the Ring of Honor stuff. They want to, maybe do New Japan Pro Wrestling and some Mexican promotions and PWG. They can just go everywhere and just start collecting titles or just putting over the other guys, and they'll make money. Doing
they'll
that,
make tons of money.
They don't need WWE.
Make tons of money, and they'll be a lot like some of these other guys. They'll just be sort of heroes of wrestling outside of WWE, and then they can come into WWE for their Hall of Fame run and be done.
Galloway is the kind of guy that leaving the company did him better because he got over as a champion, as a main eventer and stuff like that. Coming back in, he'll get lost, but if they ever do something in England, in UK, a UK show, or actually signing with ICW and all that, because that's still on the back burner, and it's on a further back burner as of right now, that stuff, according to the news I read. Galloway's a guy you can slot in there, and now with him and I don't even know, I guess Dunn and Bate or whatever, you got a nice little foundation for just a legitimate group.
But Galloway is also huge, and WWE has sort of started moving back toward Land of the Giants. Not necessarily a bad thing. You've got these bigger guys, and Galloway I feel like he could totally fit in with what's kind of happening in WWE right now, where you've got actual larger than life characters all of a sudden coming back to the forefront. It's not just about the athletic guys, because hate to kind of throw a point in Vince's direction on this, but all the little guys keep getting hurt. Yeah, they're amazingly athletic, but they keep getting hurt, and that was always his problem with people who are smaller, no matter how good they look, and people who work in an overly aggressive style. They get hurt a lot, and the poster boy for it is Daniel Bryan, and then you got Finn Balor, and then you got Seth Rollins. And they're not little by normal people standards, but they're little by wrestling standards.
So I would just do a little quick thing on Galloway before we move on to SmackDown in the Week in Wrestling. But let me just run through the other people. Maria Kanellis and Matt Bennett could make a huge impact.
Matt or Mike?
Huge impact if depending on the Cena, Nikki Bella status and Mike the Miz, Maurice kind of situation.
Sure.
They interject themselves in, and I'm not saying they show up at WrestleMania, because the fan in me would mark out how many other people around the world would even know. Maybe they remember Maria from back in the day in WWE, but maybe I doubt it. I think if Eve Torres comes back, not a lot of people even recognize her. So, and that was more recent than Maria's stint was. But it gives that dynamic. We're putting these people, we're pairing their real lives on camera now.
Sure.
So now you have pretty much a independent powerhouse couple in Mike Bennett and Maria Kanellis-Bennett.
Yeah.
And you put him in that limelight, and now guess what? Now we have like all the makings of like feuding by family proxy, or girlfriend interference, wife interference, stuff like that.
Sure.
And there's a whole host of them in the WWE.
And we just haven't had like legit power couples in wrestling for a long, at least in WWE, for a very long time. And it looked like we were headed that way with Rusev and Rana. I'm now
Rusev and Rana, yeah.
Yeah. Rusev and Lana.
That would be their TNA name.
Yeah. But yeah, having the Cena, Nikki, Miz, Maurice match, and then you've got Rusev and Lana to sort of interject themselves into the mix, and then if you were to have Mike and Maria there too, that could be, yeah. I like the idea of this, the power couple feuds from way back in the day, where you had Sherry Martel sort of leading a guy around to be sort of the star.
Yeah, and she did it with a lot of people.
Yeah, you had and they were always the top, and there would be some other couple that would challenge them in some way.
Yeah.
And, it's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. I'm interested to see something like that happen, because Mike Bennett, as much as I didn't like him because his association with Maria and jealousy and all that. By the way, have I ever shown you on camera my Maria Kanellis bench warmers collection?
I don't think so.
I haven't bought a single card in 3 years, but man, I have a friggin' collection of cards of hers. I don't know what I was doing.
We should not talk about this on air.
But so that's cool, and I'd love to see them around on the main roster, even in NXT. It'd be great. And with NXT, I think Jade, Mia Yim, would be a perfect candidate for NXT and developmental, because as good as an athlete as she is just not like there. Like, she's got a nice moveset or whatever, but it's not like fluid, it's not believable. It's very like, here's a move, here's a move, here's a move, here's a move. She's somebody I can see going into the WWE style, or being taken into into developmental with the quote unquote training for WWE style, and really excelling on like a main event, main roster level. She has the tools and she has the ability. It's just she doesn't have. I don't feel like she has enough professional training, and that's
she needs something to glue it all together.
As a 39-year-old who's never been in the ring before, I'm comfortable saying that.
Yeah, you're totally
that's that. But here's the thing with Galloway, really quick, and we'll move on to SmackDown.
Yeah.
Like, really quick fantasy booking, Angry Larry's Vince Russo special.
Oh, no.
Get the band back together. Jinder Mahal, Galloway, and Heath Slater, and have them all on SmackDown feuding for the tag team title as 3MB.
Sure.
Against American Alpha. Come on.
I'm down.
I mean, they do crap with their tag teams anyway. Might as well bring in somebody.
Although Galloway, I feel like, has surpassed the other two.
No, Galloway, it could be Jinder and Heath Slater, and Galloway can go for the IC title and elevate.
Sure.
And they could be like a true stable. I mean, we don't have the Wyatt family anymore, so
sure,
do that. And Johnny One Pair wants to know about Lana, and I see you addressed it. She is working on the road in NXT, so she's kind of double booked. She does Raw, she does main roster stuff, and then she's on the road with NXT. So she's valet
on Raw, and she works the ring in
and I think as a face too.
On the road.
Like, I think as a legitimate face on the NXT shows as well. But
sure.
Right, so let's move on to SmackDown here, real quick. It is the Fastlane special.
Yeah, I think so we'll move past SmackDown fast.
What's it?
So we'll move past SmackDown quickly.
Well, yeah, I mean, a couple things happened that we do want to talk about, and one of them is that Randy Orton defiled the dead body and burned down the house. Duke, this is like everything I hate about wrestling, and it's kind of why I can't really get invested in the quote-unquote promotion Lucha Underground. Because when they start doing things like this like fantasy stuff, this like so far ridiculous that you're not supposed to take it seriously, like soap opera kind of story arc. It's like, well, where's the motivate? Like, what happened here? What happened where Randy Orton wanted to join the Wyatt family? What happened where Randy Orton was sticking up for Bray Wyatt? What happened that Randy Orton was so pissed off he's going to burn the house above where Sister Abigail is buried down to the ground? Like, what did I miss in between the lines? Is this a social media thing that I wasn't following?
No. This is I think some of it is calling audibles on things. I think some things maybe haven't worked out the way they wanted them to, so on and so forth. But I think there were more things maybe planned. But to me, like you said, it comes off. So City of Heroes, my first online game, and a game I still love to this day, even though it's 5 years gone or whatever it is now. But a little bit less than that. But there are all these successors that are supposed to be coming out of the woodworks. Hopefully, one of them does well. But anyway, City of Heroes had this cool feature that everyone abused to high heaven, but it was still a fun storytelling medium for players, and it was called the Architect, Mission Architect, not Seth Rollins, but Mission Architect. And what it would do, it would allow you to build a mission chain with a contact where you basically write the story. And there's a point to this. 4.5 years on COH. I knew it was right. It was right after my daughter was born. So that's about right. She's 5. So my point is, I like to write, but I've never really crafted a true story arc. Like I can write a paper really well. I can craft a story in 5 to 7 paragraphs, 8 paragraphs, whatever, where there are 3 to 4 points. But to craft an actual story takes a lot more time, a lot more development, and there's logical leaps that you make when you're writing a story that you expect an audience to make when you're a novice writer like me in that realm, that I think we see a lot of times in wrestling. And I think this is one of those times. I took a really long time to get here, but I think this is one of those times where people say logical leap, logical leap, logical leap. Oh, it just makes sense. He's the Viper. So of course he just went into, he went in to just destroy the family or whatever, which is funny because that was what Luke said he was going to do. But whatever, Harper said he was going to just, burn it all to the ground essentially. And now Randy did. But it's, I think it's novice storytelling. It's just people that don't have as much experience and training, and I mean, really, it's more about the experience. People haven't, and they're not critiqued enough to realize, well, yeah, that makes sense to you because all these in jokes and all this backstory, and you've got all this wealth of knowledge that the viewer or the audience does not have. So you're thinking, well, it just makes sense because it makes sense to you. Well, it doesn't fully make sense because you jump to the end of the story. And that's what I would do a lot of times with my Mission Architect story arcs was, I'd run out of like the storage space you had for it. And so I'd have to cut corners here, there, and everywhere. And I thought that the corners I was cutting were minor, but turns out a lot of times those sort of like defined certain parts of the story that made it a real head scratcher for people when they got to the end and those things were missing. So I that was just a long way of saying I agree. And I think it's just novice writing staff is what it is.
They really should have just went the way of Randy Orton interjecting himself in the WrestleMania match or something to try to protect Bray Wyatt, and then just have him full on turn right there. Because this whole like Bray Wyatt's holding a title, so I'm just going to burn down everything he knows and loves, literally.
But like, I will say I like the premise though. But I like the idea. To get cheeky, it's
out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Well, there you go. That's what Randy does.
That's kind of the point. But let's talk about the real MVP of SmackDown.
All right.
The Miz.
Dean Ambrose?
The Miz.
Oh, okay. Yeah, The Miz.
How great was that promo?
But The Miz was fantastic, yeah.
It was a 10-minute long promo.
Tirade.
And there was a point where I turned to my father, who I go over there and I watch this stuff with every week. And I'm like, I don't want to say he ad-libbed that or whatever, and he's an actor and, like, certainly an adult. An adult probably can take a script and memorize it if they really want to. I'm like, but that's 10 minutes worth of stuff he memorized. And said it fluidly and talked the whole time. That was a 10-minute long speech. That was incredible.
Oh, it was fantastic, but I gotta admit, I really loved Cena's follow-up where he's just like, all you do is copy everybody else.
There's another thing.
I liked that comeback.
There was the other part of that, too, is when Cena did his thing with The Rock, I've said this before, everyone's like, oh, Rock owned him, Rock schooled him, Rock owned him. And I'm just kind of like, well, I've never been a Cena fan. But Cena said some pretty legitimate things there. Rock just talked nonsense like he always does. Jabroni this, pie eating that. Fruity Pebbles this. I'm like, that's not even good. Like, Cena cut a promo. Rock insulted Cena like The Rock knows how to insult Cena.
Childishly, which is what Rock does, and everyone thinks it's amazing. And it's not bad. It's his character, but
Cena...
it's kind of the same thing he always does.
Cena put the heart in that story, and Cena has just admitted he's wrong, he shouldn't have done it, because now Cena's a Hollywood guy, so he's doing some of those things that he yelled at the Rock about. Sure. But at that time, I'm like, no, man, John Cena's doing his thing, and I've never liked the guy more because of it. There was a time right around the same period where The Miz was doing the same thing. It was exactly the same time, because it was The Miz and R-Truth versus Cena and Rock.
Well, that's what's beautiful about The Miz, though, is that he's playing the heel role perfectly because, yes, he's calling out the babyface for his hypocrisy as he's being a hypocrite. That's exactly... that's why Miz is probably the only true heel in the business, period. Because he plays the heel exactly like you're supposed to. Speak the truth. It's suit-wearing Chris Jericho in his feud up to No Mercy with Shawn Michaels, where everything he's saying is the truth, but his motivation behind it is evil, and his malice and his intent behind it is evil. But he's not saying lies. He's using the truth to manipulate people's emotions, and that's a good heel, and that's what Miz does. Anytime he gets a mic, he'll speak the truth in pieces that solidify his point while ignoring the fact that he's a hypocrite, So.
And then that led to the moment where Maurice slapped John Cena and Nikki Bella came down for the save, and the first ever on-screen moment between John Cena and Nikki Bella on a wrestling TV program, not like Total Divas or whatever other show there is. But so that was like history making, I guess, for them. It was that day that they actually had intimacy, relations inside the ring, so stuff like that. But listen, it's good. It's a nice little setup, and we talked about it last week, and I said I wasn't really on board with the match because I think Cena and Miz could have done a better thing somewhere else. But but because of the matches happening, we got that great segment, and
it's working. It's working.
It was
and it's like we said, they'll work it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll work it well.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to NXT.
Hang on. My high point though was also, and I'm not going to take long on this. I'm just going to kind of repeat what he said. My high point of the show was I've learned some important life lessons over the years. Rollerblading home after happy hour is a bad idea. Some women don't like to be called sturdy, and burrito bowls and roller coasters don't mix.
You don't think Dean Ambrose is being too Dean Ambrose?
That's quote of the night.
I know, but it's like, I don't know. Dean Ambrose is just that.
I like it. That's where they want him, and he's enjoying it and playing it the way he's supposed to.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's doing his job. So.
NXT.
But I liked it.
We got that match right away with Asuka and Peyton Royce.
Yeah, that was surprising.
And here's the thing.
But you called it.
No, but that wasn't even a part of the TV tapings I was calling. That was part of the previous TV taping. So that just goes to show you I'm not reading these results. Else I wouldn't have sounded so stupid last week. It'd be like, oh, maybe they'll have a match this coming taping. Well, no, they already had the match. It's already been taped. Yeah. I think next week's program is even taped from the last batch as well. And whatever was taped last Wednesday, 10 days ago, 8 days ago, whatever, 7 days ago, wrong way, 9 days ago, whatever that was, that's going to start airing the Wednesday after next. and that's going to have the Ono versus what's his name, Bobby Roode match. So should be all right. How about this tag team division? I mean, it's 3 teams, but Revival came in and cleaned house at the end of that show.
Yeah,
and for the heel team, I mean, that popped pretty much everybody, them doing that. So I feel like this is going to be the Revival's last hurrah. And again, I hate when we do this. Just because somebody's on top of their game and lose their titles, they're automatically going to the main roster. But it is WrestleMania season, the road to WrestleMania. There is a Raw after WrestleMania coming up. Maybe SmackDown after WrestleMania coming up. And the Revival interjecting themselves into this feud between Authors of Pain and Ciampa and DIY. This might culminate in the 3-way. This is definitely culminating in the 3-way match at TakeOver Orlando.
You think so?
Oh my God! It's got like, if there's anything WWE is doing right now that's really just written on the wall, it's that. Because how long have these 3 been in each other's face? Anytime there's a match involving any of them.
Well, and I think I think this is sort of a ceremonial handing off of the heel keys of the keys to the heel kingdom, as it were, from the Revival to Authors of Pain, because essentially you're going to have the monster heels take over for the dirty heels, and the dirty heels are kind of going to be
Austin Aries and Bobby Roode getting back together.
Yeah, for sure. I see what you did there, but the I just feel like that this is a chance for them to kind of like the pop is huge, and they're super over because people recognize they're not going to be here long, kind of. And like you said, it's ridiculous that we say that, and then a year from now we'll be like, anytime now the Revival should be going up.
Every pay-per-view, it's like, yeah, I think the Revival is going to show up and attack them. Yeah,
exactly.
They're going to be the 7th team in the tag team scramble.
Yeah, but it's but yeah, it's a I think that this is sort of ceremonial, and it's the chance for the Revival to play sort of tweener, maybe sort of babyface, sort of, but they'll show their true colors at some point, and then Authors of Pain will show that they're monsters who don't care about their little tricks, and they'll sort of take over as the main heels of NXT. And
then Asuka beat Peyton Royce, as I mentioned before, beat down on Asuka, and Ember Moon came for the save, and Asuka did the whole flaunt the title in front of her face kind of thing that she did with whoever else. Who was the one she faced before? Not in the 4-way match, but the one before that. Was it Bayley? Maybe it was Bayley. But whatever. Did the whole, thanks for saving me, but I'm not like really thanking you. I'm just going to show you that I have the title, but I find you worthy as an opponent kind of thing, with the look in her eyes and smile on her face. So there is like our next match happening for the TakeOver Orlando. No surprise, Ember Moon versus Asuka.
Sure.
Asuka, by the way, is touring with the main roster, so read what you will in that, but please remember that Charlotte toured with the main roster about like 6, 7, 8 months before she got the call, so
yeah,
be that what it may. Hey, let's talk about Raw leading into Elimination Chamber. Yeah.
Fastlane.
Would I say Elimination Chamber?
Yeah, because that's still what you typed.
Yeah, no, it's still because you know why? It's still written on my layout as Elim Chamber, because I copied over the previous layout. Oh, this technical stuff, you love it.
Way to go.
Let's go 205 Live really quick. Let me ask you this question. Is this build-up between Gallagher and Neville, did it just like last too long, spread over 2 different programs?
Yeah,
3
it's way too
different
long.
programs.
Way too long. It's way too long.
Did you get that feeling because they're on Raw? They do the promo on SmackDown, and then they do their thing on 205. That's 3 times a week we get this feud in our face. And any feud that happens on Raw or SmackDown, we're only getting once a week. Why is this so important?
This feud is a microcosm of what's wrong with WWE. Seeing the same thing so much that you're tired of it before there's any payoff. And this is like the textbook example of why of of how problematic their writing style is. Of we have to remind you over and over and over again, and so like you said, we have to remind you 3 times a week right now. No, you don't. No, you really don't.
You got to do it on Raw because Raw is exclusive home for the Cruiserweights. You got to do it on 205 Live because 205 Live is a Cruiserweight show. And then you got to do it on SmackDown
because it's the lead-in.
Because it's the lead-in. You got to make everyone turn off USA and put on the network and stuff like that. So, yeah, I agree with you. I feel like it's gone on too long. I don't know what they could do. Start the feud later or just not have it so much in your face on every program. But, for guys that don't seem like they're mattering, they're investing an awful lot of programming on them. Segments on Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, and then their own show. It's like something's got to give. It's watering down a division that's not even like really legitimized. So I don't know what's going to go on with that.
Both great talents, but there's too much of it.
Yeah, listen. They're all amazing athletes. I'm sure. Like I in a bubble, I don't think I hate anybody associated with 205 Live. I just don't like the whole way they were presented into the main roster universe. You know what I mean? So all right, Raw. You wanted to talk a little bit about Seth Rollins, so go ahead.
So we got something on Raw this week that we just haven't seen yet. And that was a legitimate, genuine, real babyface promo from Seth freaking Rollins. I was thoroughly impressed with that whole segment, with everything from everything he said and how he and Corey approached the interview, and then everything, the way Hunter goaded him and the way he got legitimately emotional about everything. It was just, I thought it was great, and I feel like Seth Rollins is finally an actual babyface now. He's not just a guy doing babyface stuff. He's an actual babyface now. That, to me, that got him over as a babyface. And the injury helps with the sympathy side of it, like genuine human sympathy. But at the same time, I don't think anyone could have played their part any better at all in all of that segment. And I was impressed. I was extremely when that went to commercial, I'm like, wow, that was really, really way better than I expected. I expected typical Rollins, where it's just like, I still can't really buy him as a babyface, even with the injury. That's not how I came out of this. I came out of this as, this can be your guy if he can stay healthy. This can be the guy if he can stay healthy. And by the way, that's a big part of why Roman Reigns is here to stay. And people should probably just kind of just keep that in mind. All the brutal matches that guy's in, and he's healthy. He's had the one injury, but it's just that's a thing that can happen to anybody. But Roman Reigns, he stays around and he stays healthy.
So the one thing
despite being extremely aggressive and getting beat up by Brock and beat up by Owens and beat up by Big Show and all the crap that guy's been, that his body has gone through, and he's still ticking. So more power to him, and speedy recovery for Seth Rollins, who, in my opinion, I think he's more the face of your company than he's ever been after that segment on Raw, in my opinion.
So what I liked about that interview was that it kind of I wouldn't say broke the fourth wall down, but it kind of said I'm going to be at WrestleMania if I can. And he didn't get beat up, he didn't get attacked, he didn't get knocked down, he didn't get, pushed or shoved or touched at all, except for the awkward bro hug with Corey Graves. But they also backdoored it by saying, if he's healthy, we'll see, kind of thing. So the match is on for WrestleMania until it's not on, so it's kind of well, they're giving themselves an out, but they're continuing the storyline anyway. So that if it comes down to it, it might be Triple H versus Seth Rollins by proxy at that time, unfortunately, where Seth Rollins will still have a WrestleMania part. It just wouldn't be in the ring, and maybe he'll be okay enough to do a spot but not okay enough to carry on a full match kind of stuff. But it also could have been like, well, he will be fine, and we're just kind of downplaying it right now. It could be your traditional "a sucker is born every minute," and a match could be full on.
Either way works. Either way works. Yeah, either way works.
Yeah, either way works, and it just at least it kept you invested, just like the Miz and the Cena thing did the next night. Like, this was pretty good. The Owens and Goldberg stuff was really good. I also like the fact that they didn't do the traditional, like, I'm just going to beat you up in the ring now. Like,
yes,
they're saving that for the pay-per-view, and I don't know if that's a testament to, like, Goldberg just not being able to work well or you know, not in his contract to have contact or whatever. You know, when these part-timers come in, you're always like, well, they don't have to do anything. Like, maybe it's in their contract. Well, I don't even know if it is in their contract, if that's legitimate, or if it's like, you know, just something people make up because they don't like when part-timers come in. But that could be a situation. Bayley beat Charlotte, and they're going to have a rematch on the pay-per-view. Are they? Yes, they are.
Wait, Bayley beat Charlotte. I thought Nia pinned Bayley this week.
What am I looking at? I'm looking at you're right. Nia, they had the tag team match. Nia beat
yeah.
Dude, I don't even know what I was looking at the Fastlane preview.
which
I'm like,
which kind of sets up Bayley winning and rolling into a Nia program.
It kind of sets up Charlotte extending her feud, Nia claiming that she's the number one contender, and then all these ladies fighting at WrestleMania.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does set that up.
So, and shout out of the week.
But either way,
right.
It seems like Bayley's retaining is what I'm getting out of this.
But we talked off air about this, and we're just not even going to take any time saying this except to say that every segment on Raw mattered this week. Maybe not New Day versus Rusev and Jinder Mahal, but Tozawa, his name's being thrown out there. The women had their thing. Big Cass and the club and Enzo, they had their thing. Sheamus kicking off Titus O'Neil's head is the underrated moment of the week.
Probably, yes.
Yeah. Even Big Show defeating the Shining Stars, it's going to set up something that's probably not going to happen at WrestleMania with with Shaq. So maybe we'll get Big Show versus Strowman 2 at WrestleMania or whatever.
Yeah, I'm wondering what's going to happen because of Shaq's bad press and stuff like that. So.
And Joe goes over on Cesaro and becomes a legitimate heel. Reigns and Strowman did their contract signing, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and they even got Sammy back involved. Sammy was even involved in the whole Joe thing as well. So
yeah, well, I mean, that's leading up to Fastlane. So yeah, well, that's what the point is.
That's what I'm saying. Like all the dots connected. They didn't leave anything. Like the only thing, like I told Larry before we started, the only thing that's left hanging right now is the fate of Chris Jericho, our beloved U.S. champion,
which we'll get to in a second. So let's talk about Fastlane as it is right now, Duke.
All right,
really quickly.
Yeah. Go.
The pre-show, Rich Swann, Tozawa versus Kendrick and Noam Dar. Who wins, why, and who gets pinned?
Tozawa screams a lot, and I suspect he will get the pin because I believe he is the next one moving up in the Cruiserweight division.
We'll get to more on that in a second, and I probably wouldn't agree more. So let's go to the tag team titles here. The Club versus Enzo and Big Cass.
I don't think the Club are transitional. I could be wrong, but I suspect the Club retains.
I'm going to say the Club retains as well. I just don't think Enzo and Cass are that team that can carry the ball, but they're the team that can always be challenging for the ball, defending the guy who has the ball.
Yeah, right now. I mean, there's a place for them as champs at some point, but I feel like you need to keep it on Gallows and Anderson for a little while.
WrestleMania moment.
Going into WrestleMania, they need to have the titles, and it could be someone takes it off of them at WrestleMania.
Going into WrestleMania, who knows if there's even going to be a tag team title match?
Well, fair enough.
There hasn't been in 7 years. It seems like, and I can go back in the record book and check that. But last year,
Johnny says Enzo eats the pin.
Enzo eats the pin. That's probably going to happen, right?
That seems about right.
That seems about par for the course. But how about this WWE logic here? Enzo and Cass never get a tag team title, but they split up sooner than they rematch. So, because Big Cass is a monster heel. I mean, we don't need him as a monster heel, but WWE, they'll probably eat that up.
He could be good. Yeah, he could be good.
Internally. All right, Sasha and Nia Jax.
Nia Jax. Sticking with that one. Nia Jax is going to win this.
Yeah, because Nia Jax is going to claim her right for
she's
number one
gonna move
contender.
up.
Yeah,
She's
during Charlotte's coronation on Monday Night Raw of winning the champion and still being undefeated. Blah,
you
blah,
still
blah.
think she's gonna win? Okay.
Oh wait, no, we didn't get there yet. I'm sorry. So
Yep.
we'll go there. So we'll go. That was Johnny One Pair in chat brings up Fatal 4-Way when Cesaro and Kid retained the title. I'm not going to say that was WrestleMania because that was a pre-show. That was like 2 hours before WrestleMania started.
It was pre-show, and then the person, and I don't think they were actually supposed to retain. I think the Usos
got hurt
to win and got injured.
Yeah. So we can look back farther than that, and maybe I'll look it up before this show ends. Cruiserweight title: Neville versus Gallagher. Is it time?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Why?
Yep. I think Gallagher is so over that he doesn't need the title, and I think it would be more interesting to have a Japanese style match with Tozawa moving up, and I think maybe they're realizing that that's kind of what they need is something just crazy, and I think Tozawa and Neville can pull that off more than Tozawa and Gallagher. I love Gallagher's style. It's just I don't think it's. I think people are invested in his character and they don't care necessarily about him being a cruiserweight. And he doesn't need this division as much as the division needs him, in my opinion. But
I think
the cruiserweights need a premier, like we talked about. They need a runaway. Holy crap! What was that match? That will just blow people's faces off, and I think Neville Tozawa can do that.
I think Tozawa can pull it off as well, and I think he's got the in-ring charisma and the mic skill. Let's not even overlook that.
Yeah,
to get the crowd invested, especially when Brian Kendrick was talking to him like he didn't understand English, and Tozawa just replied with like the perfect English phrase and accent.
Yeah.
And just threw that one under him. And again, going back to Tozawa winning the pre-show match, I just think, him and Neville will be the next one. And I think probably the most interesting of the Cruiserweight feud so far that involved the title. So
sure.
We'll see what happens there. How about Sami Zayn versus Samoa Joe?
I got to say, I don't know. I really think it's Joe because you continue the monster run, but I don't know. They may be needing to pivot with Owens, and maybe Sami Zayn and Owens are at Mania. And if so, Sami Zayn kind of needs this win.
So we're never going to see Sami Zayn and Owens fight again, except when we see them fight each other every other week. Again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
By the way, I'm up to WrestleMania 30, and on the pre-show, the Usos retained their title on the pre-show of that as well. So now I'm going to WrestleMania 29. I'm going to say Joe retains here, and I'm going to say he retains
Joe retains his towel?
Joe retains his anger and his monster-like ability and his towel, and Taz is going to be mad about that, but at least it's not orange.
Yeah.
And I think
he doesn't drape it over his head. So.
I think he semi-destroys Zayn. Like,
okay.
I think Sami Zayn's story is he's the underdog from the underground. Literally, that's what they throw in our face every week.
That everyone believes in, and that people will not stop believing in.
And he'll win every once in a while and have some good matches.
But he'll die occasionally too.
Yeah, and he'll just keep losing. So I'll go with Joe. What were you? Did you want Joe as well?
I want. My heart says Sammy. My head says Joe.
Okay. Team Hell No defeated Dolph Ziggler and Big E for the tag team titles in WrestleMania 29.
Was it a pre-show?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think it was a pre-show. It was the fourth match on the card. Actually, no, it wasn't the pre-show. The only pre-show match was Miz beat Wade Barrett by submission for the IC title.
So okay.
That might have been the last time the tag team titles were
title on the pre-show. Ridiculous.
That might have been the last time the tag team title. Well, that was the last time the tag team titles were defended on a card. Was WrestleMania 29. And that might have been the last time the IC title was defended not in a ladder match at WrestleMania. So, all right. So how about moving on here? We go with, right there. Bayley versus Charlotte for the title.
I'm picking Bayley because two reasons. I think they're moving to the I think they want a Samoan challenging for the title since no one is accepting Reigns, so they're going to put someone else in the family there, and I believe it's Nia Jax. And I don't think it's Nia Jax versus Charlotte unless they're ready to actually flip Charlotte. I don't think they're ready for that because she's just too good as a heel. And people respect her athleticism, but people love her as a heel, and she plays it well. So I don't know why you would want to turn her yet. That's one reason, Nia Jax. The other reason is Bayley taking the pin from Nia Jax. So you have someone who's a legitimate contender to the champ if the champ is still Bayley coming out of this. And one last thing, Charlotte has won 16 times at pay-per-views. And they've made a point to say she's 16-0 at pay-per-views. That's a similar number to someone she's related to.
They're also fast-tracking the number of times she has the title. So what would this be? Her 5th time having the title? If she wins? When she wins?
It would be 5th or 6th, yeah.
Saying it, I think 5, because she beat Nikki, she beat Sasha 3 times, and then she beat Bayley. So I think that would be 5. I don't think anybody else held the title.
Bayley didn't have the title when she beat her, though.
No, she's going to beat Bayley, I'm saying now.
Oh, you're saying,
for the 5th time.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
So not only that, because then we have the coronation of her the next night. We have Nia Jax confrontation. We have Sasha Banks coming out right after that. We have Bayley wanting her contract rematch. And we have Stephanie McMahon getting involved. And now we have women's storyline until WrestleMania. Calling it just to call it, though, this is going to be like a cluster muck. And the title is going to get vacated and be put on the line at WrestleMania in a 4 corners match. Saying it just to say it, but the
with not the boss, but the boss, Stephanie McMahon in a match.
Well, we can make it 5 corners then. We'll have a hexagon ring or whatever that would pentagon ring, whatever that would
pentagon ring. But it'll be a big pentagram. That's what it'll be.
So
we'll just go full devil.
So Bayley. No, I'm going to say Charlotte. I just there's no reason to break the streak.
Bayley.
There's no reason to break the streak is all I'm saying. So
I'm picking Bayley.
There you go. Roman Reigns versus. By the way, the Intercontinental title wasn't even defended at the next WrestleMania. We were laughing about it on the pre-show. It wasn't even on the WrestleMania right after.
Yeah, I remember that. That was bad.
So then the next year started the ladder match tradition that has lasted 2 years so far. I thought it's been longer than that.
Yeah, it felt longer.
Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman. Let me start here. I just don't think Roman Reigns needs this win, and I think Braun Strowman needs the win for momentum. Because how many times have we seen it in the past? I think I talked about this last week. It might have been off the air. But we have guys like Meng, Haku going into WCW, Mr. Hughes, all these Sid, all these big unstoppable monsters, and then they lose their big match once. And then they lose all their momentum, and they're 50-50 guy after that.
Yeah, they're kind of done after that.
Right. Braun Strowman losing here...
At times, too.
What's that?
Happened to Big Show a few times, too.
Right. I mean, so Strowman losing here would just crush all momentum. Like, it would just be a disaster. Because then he's not... I mean, he can get pissed, and he can start, flipping tables and, just be motivated to be more vicious and angry. And that could work.
But to what end? What is that even? Yeah, right.
What, to just get Roman Reigns in a rematch, and Roman Reigns is already fighting The Undertaker and whatever? Yeah. So, well, allegedly fighting The Undertaker, and he's probably...
Oh, and that's another good point, though, is how does Reigns come out of this as the loser?
Oh, here's how. Undertaker shows up at Raw after WrestleMania, and Roman Reigns interrupts him. Because that's what Roman Reigns does.
He interrupts people.
He comes out in every segment, so he'll just come out during that segment, and there you go. So I'm going to go Braun Strowman here.
I want Braun Strowman, and that's not even a I hate Roman Reigns thing. That's a it makes the most sense thing.
Yeah, and then where does he go from here? Well, then he can just, why not? Poke the bear.
Oh,
go after Lesnar. Go after Goldberg.
Hang on. I'm definitely picking Braun for another pick. So... I need Braun to win this to make sense, and this is based on something Johnny just said. So go ahead.
Yes. All right. So I'll go Braun. You're gonna go Braun, and we'll talk about the main event now. Kevin Owens versus Goldberg, and I've kind of waffled back and forth on this one. saying that, well, Goldberg versus Lesnar doesn't need the title. But if they have the title, then they can do Owens versus Jericho for the U.S. title, and then still have a Universal title match. They can do title for title if they wanted to, because Goldberg and Lesnar really don't need the title. Signs are pointing, and you said Sami Zayn and Owens, but let's be honest here. Is it not leading to Owens and Jericho, especially after the storyline and Owens continuously downplaying of Jericho since the Festival of Friendship?
I still want Jericho to show up and be just totally out of his mind, like half brain dead,
Obsessed fan kind of level friend.
Yeah, and he's like Kevin Owens' personal Bailey, where he's just more in love with him now than ever before, and yeah, I want him to be that. That's what I want Chris Jericho's character to be. I know that's way too nuanced for how WWE normally does things, but that's really what I want. But I am going to pick Kevin Owens for this exclusively, not because of any of the other stuff, but because of Braun Strowman. Because I want freaking Kevin Owens and Braun Strowman in a hoss fight at WrestleMania for the freaking title.
Lesnar versus Goldberg doesn't need the title. Rock versus Cena didn't need the title, but they still had Rock take it from Punk and pass it,
right?
And like not even be on TV in between in the midterm, and then pass it to Cena at WrestleMania. That's just like the basis for like, you know, it's still something on my mind that they might do. Goldberg versus Lesnar. Where does that go going forward? Well, maybe Lesnar gets his win back, gets the title off of Goldberg if Goldberg beats Owens, and then there's your Braun Strowman situation. Lesnar versus Strowman. There's also a Finn Balor on the bench who's ready to come back. Finn versus Lesnar for the title. Is it a marquee WrestleMania matchup? Well, I'm going to say no, because he's been on Raw once or twice, Finn Balor. So he's not a household name. He's just a dude who won the title. It is, you know, pretty much in his debut. But like mainstream WWE fans who only watch Raw don't know of Finn Balor, you know, still.
Yeah, but I think the Demon versus the Beast. I think that, and it's no small thing that at Beast in the East, the Demon won the title. So
I mean,
you've got no. I'm just saying you won the NXT title. So you've got backstory that says they were on a collision course. You know, they've been on a collision course for well over a year. Blah 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 blah. And that, like, it's very easy storytelling to pull that off, but I'm still going to stick with Owens because I want Owens and Strowman. I think Braun Strowman has proven he deserves a main event spot, and in a very short period of time, and he can be possibly one of the best big men in the business, maybe of all time, if he keeps on the pace that he's on right now. And I think putting him in a big time match will move that forward in a big time way.
I think that the story here is still going to be Owens versus Jericho at WrestleMania. Whether
you're probably right.
Whether it's title for title or it's going to be for the U.S. title only remains to be seen. Because they've also mentioned that titles have never been on the line. They actually did it. They say it on SmackDown. I don't know where they said it, but it was. I think they might have said it on SmackDown because it might have been a JBL or more Ronaldo quote. There's never been a champion versus champion match since Ultimate Warrior versus Hogan. So maybe they do it at WrestleMania, champion versus champion, Owens versus Jericho. Or it's just going to be for the U.S. title, and they're going to give Brock and Goldberg the title, and then find a way to mix in Finn, Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman thereafter.
There is one other thing that I forgot to mention. There's one other possibility. So we brought in Finn, and we've talked about Brock and going into Mania. What we haven't talked about is Brock cost Goldberg the title at Fastlane. So there's no title change. Owens gets to keep his title in a wonky screwball way, which he's a heel. That's fine. Doesn't hurt him in any way. I know people think it does, but it doesn't. And it doesn't hurt his feelings backstage at all because he's fine with that. He keeps the title. Goldberg is now super motivated to absolutely decimate Brock for the third time, but Brock's in his head.
Except
So you've got story, you've got Owens retaining, and then you can do everything outside of Brock and Goldberg that you want to do, and it keeps everything intact without having to change the title. So
except for the fact that they had that promo with Heyman and Lesnar, where Lesnar was sitting directly in front of the camera, where Heyman kept talking about Brock Lesnar does not like Kevin Owens. So now I'm tending to believe that Lesnar gets involved. He will be at Fastlane, but maybe they face off against Goldberg, and he turns around and lays out Owens, and Goldberg wins the title.
But if he lays out Owens and the ref sees it,
well, I mean, obviously ref bump or whatever.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying.
Or it's going to get changed to a no DQ match for no reason whatsoever. That the day of, or a wherever street fight, whatever it is. But it tends to believe that during that promo, and that was a couple weeks ago, and it hasn't been really. Was it 2 weeks? Maybe it was 2 weeks ago, and there hasn't been anything on the Lesnar camp since. Since that promo, really the focus of the promo was, yeah, he doesn't like Goldberg, but he doesn't like Kevin Owens. So it's like, well, two things Brock Lesnar wants is he wants to redeem himself against Goldberg, and he wants the championship a part of that, is what I got out of that. So
yeah, fair enough. But I will say they've built a lot of intrigue around this match, more so than Goldberg versus Lesnar, because that's gonna. I'm excited for that match.
Well, because we have outside factors now. We have Jericho. What's Jericho going to do? Is he going to be there? We have Lesnar. What's Lesnar going to do? Is he going to be there? And then kind of like
Balor.
And and Revival.
Yeah, and
the Revival can come out and Shatter Machine, both of them.
No reason. Yeah, Shatter Machine, both of them at the same freaking time. The same time.
Johnny One Pair wants to add Champ KO to Brock and Goldberg at WrestleMania. Johnny, if it was up to me, every match at WrestleMania would be a 3 or 4-way match, or a gauntlet, or a multi-person ladder man match. So I'm on board with you. Let's say.
Yes, I want laddermen in the match.
I want R-Truth in the match with the ladder involved and stuff like that.
with ladder stilts.
Yeah. So listen, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be a good show. I'm kind of jacked for storyline wise. I think this has been the best Raw build up since the brand split.
I would say so, and I'm way more excited for. This is the first time I've been excited for Fastlane. In the 3 years that it's existed, this is the first time that I'm like...
Well, there's not going to be like a roadblock in between where we're just like, what the hell is the point of this? And there's not even Marie on the poster, so it's like even better,
Yeah, that helps. So, but it really is the first time where I'm like, Fastlane actually means something. It's not just some throwaway, well, we had to have a pay-per-view this month. Everything means something, and they built to it properly. So I'm pretty freaking excited.
Yeah,
freaking excited.
Hey, listen, this whole time we've been chatting right now. Next week's weekly topic though, we're going to talk more about the TNA stuff. We're going to let that play out for a week, see where people land with the news and what the rumors are and stuff like that. But let me ask you this trivia question here, Duke. I've been drinking water out of this cup for the last, 90 minutes or so that we've been talking. How many people on this cup are current WWE superstars?
1.
It's a New York Islanders cup, so 0.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is for you. I'm the Duke. He's Angry Larry. Bye-bye.
Let's go, Islanders.
Clap, 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 clap.